All right. Well, one of the people, when someone falls over, when Michael decides he just can't be asked doing a show of a day, when I've got to go away, or when Marty's off, one of the people that I call on is a very, very old colleague and friend of mine from over in the wrap-up, and a straight-talking New Zealander, I think most famous for her phrase, the lying bastards, Tina Nixon. And Tina joins us on the line now to kind of wrap her year and our year. Tina, nice to talk to you. Geez, you've been busy. You haven't been able to make it to any of the lunches I've invited you to.
No, actually, it was not planned. It's just the way it's worked out. But I had the busiest November, December I've had in many years. So
you in town Thursday?
It was a bit of a pain in the bum.
You in town Thursday?
Sorry?
Are you in town on Thursday?
No, I've got the last board meeting.
Oh, yeah, that's the last
Thursday.
time I invite you. I just think it's because you don't like me now. Tina, let's look back. It was funny. We just had a chat with Andrew Hoggard.
Yep.
And he was talking about people like Mike Butterick, who I know you know.
Yep.
He was talking about Mr. Patterson from New Zealand First. He was saying they're going to get together and form some sort of agricultural or farming sort of cross-party group to, I don't know, get together and have a beer and talk about sharing every so often in Parliament.
Yeah, that's a really, really good idea. But I think there's some other voices in that tent too that they need to make sure that they bring in. And so there's quite a number of women in the rural areas too.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think that those three boys actually know each other pretty well because of their Federated Farmers connections.
Yeah.
But there is some wider talent in the three caucuses of the three parties.
Yeah. You live, I think one of the reasons you're such a great talk host, Tina, and people reflect on this, you have broad experience. You live in a rural community. You're pretty close to the land. Your bloke has been a veterinary.
That's right.
You're also part Maori. You spend a lot of time down on Stewart Island with your iwi, and you're active in that. What do you think of the new Parliament in terms of its representation as a representation of New Zealand?
I think it's pretty good, actually. There's been a lot of talk about it, but you just look at it. We've pretty much got all of the bases covered. And I think people have still got this trepidation and fear of things around the treaty going to change and suddenly Maori are going to become second-class citizens. And I don't think that's the case at all. And that the treaty is still front and centre of a lot of government policy and has to be. It's just that there just seems to be a slight shift towards not an equal situation and a partnership situation, but where Māori had more say,
preeminence,
and more privileges. Yeah, and I think that's been really unsettling. And there is places where I think that can be useful, but it's just been too unsettling for people. And it's not that sort of equality and all one New Zealanders recognising where we've come from and our backgrounds and all of that. That seemed to just get lost, and Māori superiority, and that's certainly the thing that the Party Māori push has really irked a lot of people.
But they are not. I was saying this morning, Tina, to Party Māori, who seem to have totally embraced the let's be as radical as we can sort of strategy. They do not represent mainstream Māori. They don't represent the iwi that you're part of.
No, they're 2% of the vote.
Yeah.
And so who do they represent? And when you look at the percentage of Māori that they represent, it's not high either. Yes, they got those electorate seats, so they voted for the individuals, but the Labour vote was still reasonably high in those electorates. And so, they don't have a mandate to speak on behalf of Māori. And, you only have to echo the words of James Mega when he said that, Labour does not own Māori.
Yeah.
And they don't speak for them, and neither does Party Māori. They speak for a very small minority. I don't know how many Māori friends I've spoken to right across the country since Te Party Māori did all its maiden speeches and they all dressed up with the pomp and circumstance, and people are really embarrassed about that. And they're embarrassed because normally Māori aren't so showy, and it just seemed to be that they were all peacocks. and it was a word that somebody used, and I thought, yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, we're a bit more whakamara, as they say, a bit shy and a little bit more humble than what they are, and we've found that really quite difficult. And the other thing I found deeply disturbing was the poster for the protest
with the guns
on it. For goodness sake, we don't need that sort of bullshit in this country.
No, well said, Tina. Are you surprised? Have you heard about this Roy Morgan poll?
No.
Oh, okay. It's amazing, isn't it? First major poll out since the election. I thought this would have been all over the newspapers and the mainstream media, but it's not. Support.
That means National must be doing okay.
Well, okay, so I'll give you the numbers. I'm amazed that people aren't aware of this. Support for National virtually unchanged, 37.5%. Support for ACT is up 3.9 points to 12.5. New Zealand First up 1.9% to 8%. And Labor down to 21%, the lowest ever recorded in a Roy Morgan poll.
Yeah, well, they've got no voice. They've got no one really knows what they stand for anymore. They know what Party Māori stands for. They know what the Greens stand for.
Party Māori down 0.6 points to 2.5. The Greens up 0.9% to 12.5. That's a ringing endorsement by poll standards of a new government, isn't it?
Yep, absolutely.
But Tina, to read the headlines and to go to a press conference, as Ben and I have, this is the most racist, destructive government we've ever had. It's like the second coming of Adolf Hitler.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I subscribe to the Herald, and I subscribe to Business Desk, which is now subsumed into the Herald anyway.
Yeah.
I subscribe to you, David Farrer, Matthew Hooton, and News Desk for my sins, and Newsroom for my sins. But, you know, I really struggle with the mainstream focus of news and TV and on stuff and main pages of the Herald, because it's not journalism like we know it. And so people are getting a very jaded view of what this country is doing based on a few very, very ideologically driven journalists. And I find that deeply disturbing. And the rise of people like Lloyd Burr, Jenna Lynch, and those sort of people are not journalists, they're commentators. They haven't got the wherewithal to do good investigative journalism. They've just become basically the echo chamber of the people who want to have their opinions reinforced about the lefty government.
Yeah, and they basically declared war on Chris Luxon and, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
And there was no honeymoon period. I've never seen anything like that in all the years of working around politics. I've never, ever seen a government not even given a chance. Now, it's been a very difficult and challenging time for all of those reasons, that you don't have a media that is balanced, and you don't have journalists who play with a straight bat. Yeah. And so they just got smashed. Yeah. And admittedly, you know, they've made a few pratfalls too. But none of them have been of any great importance. It's all minor stuff, like did he take a bit of money off the government for a Tesla? Who cares? Who bloody cares? He cares.
And that's what this poll, Roy Morgan poll, that none of the mainstream will report, tells me. Yeah. Tina, I know it's a bit late for you probably, and you are spoken for. Steve has just sent me a text. Tina, marry me and have my children. Actually, just have my children. Love you. Tina, Merry Christmas. More Tina on the platform.
My ovaries are like raisins. They even exist.
You're a grandmother. You got
I'm a grandmother.
Yeah.